We are in part of what is the new 8th District. Welcome to our town hall. Let's begin as we always begin. Don't stand if you can't. If you can stand, let us say the pledge together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's good to be in this hall because I always like to begin our town halls with the pledge. And the second thing I always like to do to begin our town halls is to recognize men and women who have served this country. I do it for a variety of reasons. I do it principally, oh that's nice, John. I do it principally because, look, this election is a huge deal. What we're doing in Washington right now, all the fighting we're doing, big stuff, important stuff. What's going on down in Springfield, important stuff. The country right now is rocking, back and forth, we're shaking. We're arguing and fighting about a lot of important issues. I'm glad we're doing this. And I know it doesn't always make everybody happy because we're fighting too much or we're pointing fingers too much or we're yelling at each other too much and gosh, I wish we could get along. I hear a lot of that and I understand it. But our country is shaking right now. It needs to be fixed. It's always helpful before we begin a town hall, before I'm ever in front of people, to remind everybody in this room, Republican or Democrat or Independent, we are all Americans. This is the greatest country in the history of this planet. And though we're fighting about really important things, we say the pledge to remember sort of the idea of which this country was founded upon, and we recognize men and women who have served to remind us that men and women have died and been injured to preserve this great thing. So, if you have served, if you've worn the uniform, either stand or raise your hand and be recognized. Thank you, thank you. I made a bunch of pledges when I was running 2 years ago. I pledged that I am a term limit believer and that if you elected me and you continue to elect me, I'm not serving more than 6 years in Congress. I can't stand professional politicians. We got too many Republicans and Democrats who go to Washington. They stay there forever. They start to look different. They forget about us, they enrich themselves, and in the meantime, we keep going broke and losing our freedoms. I wasn't going to become that way. I said that I'd turn down my congressional health benefits and my congressional retirement benefits, and I did. I don't believe members of Congress should get a better health deal than you get, and I actually don't believe members of Congress should get a pension at all. I also said that there would not be a more accessible member of Congress than me. Come on in. Come have a seat with that nice, hot cup of Starbucks. Hey, John, is there coffee brewing back there? I'd love a cup of coffee. Which is why I am trying to hold more town halls than any member of Congress. I kind of think I know how many we've done. It's north of 100. Which is why I just came from John Barleycorn Restaurant in Schaumburg. Every weekend, in addition to town halls, I do something called Come Have a Cup of Joe with Joe. I show up at any coffee shop or restaurant in the district. They're usually smaller than town halls. And anybody can come, talk to me, let me know what you think. It's a more intimate way to talk to your congressman. I consider this, outside of my voting in Washington, nothing more important that I do than this. I'm old-fashioned. I wish we were all old-fashioned. Not everybody voted for me, but everybody in my district is my boss. My district is my employer. I work for my district. If I'm not doing a very good job at my work, they will send me home in 2 years. I would argue that we have too many politicians, Republican and Democrat, who flip that thing around. You work for them. You answer to them. They'll do this maybe once a quarter. They'll give you the time. Or maybe you have to get in line to ask them a question. They're the bosses. I don't believe that's right. I think it's a big reason why we're in the mess we're in right now. That's not who I am. So that's why I continue to do these week after week. In this new 8th district that I'm running in, I'm going to keep doing them. Hold as many town halls and talk to as many voters as I can, Republican, Independent, or Democrat. You love Joe Walsh, you can't stand him. Doesn't matter to me. When I'm done talking in a minute, you're going to be able to ask me any question you want to ask. Friendly or unfriendly. Personal, political policy. Doesn't matter. That's your right as my employer. It's your right as a potential voter. Many people in this district, I'd say a lot of people around the country, can't stand what I've been doing in Washington. I understand that. That's fine. But you have a right to let me know you can't stand what I'm doing. And the minute me or any congressman doesn't have the courage to stand this close to you and to let you say, Congressman Walsh, what were you thinking 2 weeks ago when you made that vote? If I don't have the courage to let this gentleman say that to me, I shouldn't be in Congress. I knew that was going to happen. If I can't walk around without tripping, I don't deserve it. You know what I mean. That's why I'm here, and that's why every week or two I lose my voice, because I believe in the bottom of my heart that this country has got to wake up. We are so close to losing the America that we are. We are so close to losing it. And your politicians aren't going to save it. If this thing called America is going to be saved, people out here are going to save it. People in Elk Grove, people in Streamwood, people in Palatine, people in Villa Park are going to save it. We have one rule, and some of you have been to my town halls. We didn't pass out the big sheet of long rules. There aren't a lot of rules. There's one rule, and if we can't live according to this one rule, these things don't work. And the one rule is one word: respect. You see, when some congressmen do us a favor and have one of these town halls every now and then, lots of times they're pretty rigid affairs. We'll meet for about an hour and 15 minutes. I'll do a nice 45, 50-minute PowerPoint presentation. I'll leave time for a couple questions. That's not what this is. I'm going to stop talking in about 4 minutes, and we're going to open this thing up to questions and thoughts. And unlike a lot of congressmen, I don't just invite Republicans to my town halls. Good God, I don't want to just hear from Republicans. I'm on TV a lot. I'm on MSNBC a heck of a lot more than I'm on Fox. I like being around people who disagree with me. We invite everybody to our town halls. So everybody in this room has an opinion, has a thought as to why our country is about to fall off a cliff and how we're going to save it. And we have to respect every thought in this room. And if we don't, this doesn't work. If you think I'm crazy, tell me. Try to say it with a little bit of respect. If you think he is crazy, let him know with a little bit of respect. Respect every opinion in this room. I'll close with this thought. Republican or Democrat? It's probably the only thing we'll agree on this afternoon. Your country is in trouble. We have a government we can't afford. Republican or Democrat? I'm not going to let you disagree with me. We can argue about how it got this way. Fine. We can argue about how we're going to fix it. Absolutely. But nobody in this room can tell me that right now we have a government we can't afford. Nobody in this room can tell me that we are more in debt than we've ever been. Nobody can tell me we're not. Nobody in this room can tell me that outside this window, 15 to 16% of your fellow Americans aren't working. And it's a little higher than that. Most Americans have stopped looking for work. We all agree on that. We disagree on what to do about it. Your country is in trouble. Our country is in trouble. Needs to be fixed. I'd like to spend the next 4.5 hours. Oh, it's not going to be 4.5 hours. I'd like to spend the next hour and 15 minutes getting your thought as to how to fix it. You've heard me say this before. Some of you have. My youngest son is in the back. I have 3 kids. I don't have any grandkids yet. This next election is the most important election in the lives of my grandkids, not even born. If you think it's less than that, find something else to do the next 8.5 months, because it's not. If you think what you're going to do in November is you're going to make a vote and it's just an election, you're wrong. The future of this country depends on what we do in November. And again, we can argue about what needs to be done. Let's please make sure we have an election that's worthy of the crisis we're in right now. If this election between, say, Obama and whoever the Republican is going to be, gets to be a big food fight about where Obama was born and what religion Romney is, and how many times Newt Gingrich has been married, and what grades Obama got in college. If we as a country have that kind of election, I don't care what party you are, we all lose. We all lose. That's what the district looks like. Every candidate for office should walk around with one sheet of paper the next 8 months. And I think on that sheet of paper, it should have 3 subjects: jobs, debt, healthcare. Tell me, Obama, what are you going to do to get this country working again? What are you going to do about this huge debt? And what are you going to do to fix healthcare? Romney, Gingrich, you tell me the same thing. Walsh, what are you going to do about jobs, healthcare, and the debt? Whoever I run against, ask him or her that question. You see, we're in trouble. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about what you did when you were 24 years old. I don't care that you had a brother that went bankrupt 5 years ago. I don't care if you're too tall. I don't care if I don't like the way you talk. I don't care about those things. Give me an election equal to the crisis we're in right now. Folks, I love this stuff. When I'm done with politics, I'm going to go back and teach. I taught American government in a community college. When I'm done, whenever I'm kicked back home, I'm going to go teach. And I'm going to teach about this country. I'm going to teach about what our founders started. And I'm going to teach about how far we've gotten away from what our founders began. I love this. I am so blessed to be a congressman right now. As a country, we haven't gone through something like this in years. Thank God we're doing it. Let's be up for it. Let's be up for it. I'm going to close there. I got a fancy chart I'll show you in a minute. But again, only rule, folks, is respect. We've got a mic back there. I've got a mic. You can ask me anything personal, political, or policy. Let's start an interesting debate and discussion about what's going on in this country right now. I will begin with you, my dear. Give me your first name and, oh, wait, I got it. Before I start with you, I got to start with something else. I had the great honor of being in Spencer, Indiana. Mel, where's Mel? We were in Spencer, right? Spencer, Indiana, 2 weekends ago, talking to a group of about 100 and some God-loving, patriotic Americans. This wonderful couple from Champaign drove over to listen to me speak in Spencer, Indiana. I don't know what they're thinking. They actually drove up from Champaign this afternoon, and they are here. Oh my God. Honest truth. Who talked who into doing this?
Oh, I didn't have to talk for 2 minutes.
How long of a drive? How long of a drive?
About 4 hours. 3.5, 4 hours.
Let the record show. That's a record. Longest drive to come to listen to Congressman Walsh at a town hall. That's amazing. You have to demand he buys you dinner tonight for all this. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I'm done talking. You've heard me say this. And this is on tape. See, everything I say is on tape. So here we go. Here's a campaign commercial against me. I've said this before. Every time I get on an airplane, every Monday morning and fly to Washington, I usually have I have a frown on my face. When I'm in Washington, I don't like it as much. I want to shake my Republicans' shoulders. I want to shake the Democrats and say, come on, guys. It's hard, and I'm disheartened when I'm there. Every time I'm on a plane and I fly back home every Thursday night, I smile. And when I'm in front of Americans, when I'm in front of people, I am heartened that we're going to get out of this. And when I see two patriotic Americans, I don't know what they were thinking this morning, get in a car and drive up from Champaign, how can you not think something is going on in this country right now? God bless you. Thanks for coming. All right, you have the floor.
Okay, well, I'm not the public speaker, you are.
No, we all are.
And you stole part of my act because I met them when I came in, and I've never voted for you, Joe, and I don't know if I ever will vote.
How did you get that microphone then? That's unbelievable.
But that's only because you can't seem to get into my GD district. Okay, so I come from Mount Prospect, not as far. And as I'm trying to understand this redistricting thing, I see something, this is mainly more comment, that's so blindingly and sickeningly apparent to me, and I could be wrong, but they redistricted to set you up against somebody who shouldn't be endorsed, but will get a vote, and I can't, you know, it might be politically incorrect, but for reasons that really aren't necessarily appropriate. And I'm glad all this fighting is going on in Washington, and I see what they're doing is because they are so scared to death of you. And I think you're fabulous, and I want you to know that the only time that I'm going to be worrying about you is when they start showing they love you.
Look, when I was asked during the campaign what I'm going to do in Washington, I gave an answer that didn't make people happy. I said I'm going to go there and scream from the mountaintop. This country I love, I'm losing, and I don't want to lose it. A year later, there is an equal number of Democrats and Republican establishment people that want me thrown out of the country. That makes me smile. Because I didn't go there to please Republicans or Democrats. I'm a Republican. By the way, everybody, I'm a Republican, a proud Republican. If you consider yourself a proud Republican and you think Barack Obama got us in this mess, you got another thing coming. It's taken us 100 or so years to get to the point where we've lost this thing. We're better than this. We're better than our government. The way we redistrict is terrible. It's not just Illinois. In any state, the party in charge basically decides what your districts are going to look like. Try to be a Democrat in Texas or North Carolina. You didn't come out very well. Try to be a Republican in Illinois. Most of us didn't come out very well. So yes, this will be a difficult, difficult election. I was drawn into a district. I live in McHenry. I was drawn into a district with a fellow Republican. At the end of the day, it didn't feel right to fight against another Republican. So I came down here to take this challenge on. And the bet I'm making is, my prayer for this election is that you almost take your party affiliation this year, roll it up into a piece of paper and throw it away. You're either to me, it's actually pretty simple. This is really a pretty easy election. Whoever I'm going to run against, Tammy or Raja, the difference in the way we think isn't even close. Obama against whoever, the difference in the visions they've got for America, not even close. Folks, we are at a point right now, when I tell you that we're losing our country, and that we're going through a revolution to try to get it back, here's what I mean. The thing that our founders started, and so many of us have stopped paying attention to what this country was founded on. This country was founded upon freedom. We were all treated equally. We were all given God-given rights that our government could not step on. Remember that, folks. A lot of people don't remember that. Our government at the beginning didn't give us rights. We were given rights to protect us from government. Basically, our founders did something amazing. They set up a country that said, here's your life, you got your property, you got the fruits of your labor, whatever you're making, your family. We're going to have some basic ground rules. Some basic ground rules. Because we all believe in a little bit of government. But then go, man, go. Go live your life. Go take care of your family. Go start a business. Go enjoy life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And government is over here. And you know what? Government is over here to only do one thing. To make sure that we all have the freedom to go after life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's all. So in that America, guys and gals, this is hard to accept. In that America, you are free to start a business. You're also free to have that business go belly up. In that America, you are free to invent something like this cup and turn it into billions of dollars and employ thousands. But you're also free in our America to have a nutty idea that never gets off the ground. In our America, you're free to try to buy a house. But that's your responsibility. You're also free, like your congressman 3 years ago who lost a house. In our America, sometimes it doesn't always work, and you lose a home. We now live in an America where that's almost an ancient notion. The America we live in now says it's not equal opportunity, it's we want equal outcomes. And so we create this big government to try to make sure we're all kind of the same. So now in our America, which is just amazing, you're free to try to buy a house, but government's going to make it a lot easier for you to buy a house. Oh, and by the way, if you lose your home or get behind, government will be there to prop you up. In the new America, government will take care of everybody's health care. In the original America, you keep more of your own money, you're responsible for your health care. In this president's America, and again, he didn't create this. He's sort of the poster child for it now. Everybody lives in a $150,000 home. Everybody gets the same education. I am generalizing. If you fall behind on your student loans, don't worry, government will take care of it. In the new America, we've created such a big government, and you're not allowed to fail. We didn't let the big banks fail, did we? We bailed out a lot of institutions, didn't we? We have government doing things our founders never, ever envisioned. This is wrong on a whole host of levels. It's wrong mostly because it doesn't work and we can't afford it. Maybe we all want to live in a world where we all have the best health care in the world. And we can all have perfect knees and perfect new hips and perfect new eyes. Maybe you all want to live in that kind of world. And maybe you want to live in a world where we all live in a nice $300,000 house and we never let it go down in value. And I know there are some crazies on the left that want that kind of America. That's not right, because then by definition, you're killing freedom. But B, you can't afford it. That's what we're fighting about. Boy, that was a terribly long-winded answer, and I apologize. Who's got one, guys? Any topic? Over here. Yes, sir.
Hey, Joe, how are you?
Grab that, my friend.
Oh, I probably don't need this, but...
You do, but they do.
Okay, very good. Name's Terry Gavin, Elgin. Good to see you again. I want to debate with you just a tiny bit.
Fire away.
Yeah, it's a friendly debate, though. You said twice now that this president is not responsible for the mess we're in today. I partially agree with you because obviously it took a long time to get the debt to, what was it, 10 trillion when he took office? What is it today? 16, going to 17 trillion.
About 15.6.
Okay, in 3 years' time, with the restraint of having to run for re-election and not being a lame duck. So when you say that, I would temper the remarks that I'm making to address them respectfully to you, Congressman. I'm glad you stayed in the 8th District. I was afraid we were going to lose you. The bottom line is, he is responsible for the decline over the last 3 years. And if we don't stop him in November and get Harry Reid out of the Senate and get the majority in the Senate to back you guys up, we're finished. I think you would pretty much agree with that, correct?
You know, this is one of those first rare times where you've actually made me look careful and cautious. Not you, but generally, I look like the spokesman for moderation. Heck yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. Well, I agree. Well, no, Terry, plop down. Let me give you a quick answer. You're right.
Thank you.
Look, again, just the context. When I ran as a Republican. I am a Republican, but I hit both parties over the head because they've both been spending our money. Look, if I were in Congress when George W. Bush were president, I'd have been on him every single day because there's a lot I liked about W, but George W. Bush added $4 trillion to our debt, to mine and your kids' debt in 8 years. Important to say that again. George W. Bush added $4 trillion to our debt in 8 years. Terry, you make the great killer point. This president has added $4.7 trillion in 3 years. 3. I've gotten in a lot of trouble because I've said some very direct things about this president. So, let me be very clear. Wanted to say careful, but I won't anymore. I think this mindset of government taking care of all of us and us giving our money to government is going to ruin this country. That is firmly what this president believes in. And if he's given another 4 years, and he is not constrained by another election, I don't think we'll ever recover. I've been very clear that in many ways he had no business getting elected. I have yet to meet one person who voted for President Obama based on anything he had done. He really hadn't done much. We all agree to that. I have found very few people who voted for him based on anything he said. We elected this man president because of who he was. A historic figure. Our first black president. John McCain's 140 years old. The economy's crashing. We're sick of the war in Iraq. And along comes this historic figure, and most of the country just got caught up in it, and we lost our reason a little bit. It made us feel good about ourselves as a country. If we can't be honest enough to say that, we haven't learned anything. Here, and you're right. But the nice thing now, Terry, is now we've seen what he's done for 3 years. So unlike in 08, where we didn't kind of know what he was going to do, now we know. So now we know that, and if you agree with what he's done, work your tail off for him this year. But now we do know that he basically wants everybody on government-run health care. He won't tell you that publicly, but that's what he believes. We know that. Now we know that once he gets past this next election, you're a small business owner in this country, get ready. Here come the taxes. We know based on what he's done. We know! Now we know that he does not want us to drill. Now we know, we knew this after he was elected, that his own energy secretary wants gas prices going up. They have told us, folks, they have told us so much. Most importantly, now we know what this president thinks of the very first words in the First Amendment to the Constitution. No, I'm sorry. You don't have a right to practice your faith and live according to your religious conscience. And look, folks, to all the men and women in the audience, I've been hammered for the last couple weeks. That Joe Walsh, he wants to take away contraception and he's anti-women. Oh, how silly. And you know what slays me? This is what slays me. And I'm going to direct this one to all of our females in our audience. Raise your hand if you're a female. You know what? I love asking that because a lot of people go, It should be a very easy question. To all the women in the audience, this is how little my Democrat opponent, Tammy Duckworth or Raja, will think of you, and it's how little the president thinks of you. You see, our country's house is on fire right now. Again, we all agree with that. Economically, we're broke, we're dying. But the president thinks, and Tammy Duckworth thinks, women aren't smart enough to get that. If I just mention the word abortion, women will forget about all the debt. Women will forget about the state of the economy. If I just say the word contraception, I can get all the female vote. How terrible that they think so poorly of female voters. That unlike men who understand the fiscal condition of the economy, all I gotta do is whisper abortion or contraception. That's what this president believes. Whoever I'm going to run against in the 8th district, they're already saying it. Joe Walsh, and they're directing this all to the female voters. Joe Walsh, he's going to take away your contraception. Oh my God, I've got to forget that. My husband's out of work and we're losing our home. Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's what this election's about. Sorry, honey. Forget about your job. Forget about the house. Those big bad Republicans are going to take away your contraception. How terrible that Democrats think so poorly of women that they can't think the same way men think about the condition of this country and the crisis we're in. All the way in the back, sir.
Obama wants to take away the First Amendment. The contraception is just a point.
Yeah, and again, here will be the briefest answer I give you. This whole issue has nothing to do with contraception. I don't know of a Republican in Washington or anywhere I've been who want to do away with contraception. All we're saying is, do you have the ability to force me and my conscience and my religious faith to pay for that? Seems pretty basic to me. Before we go on, I want to introduce somebody in the audience. We have a candidate for state rep. In our any time at my town halls, when we have any other candidates in the room, I want to introduce them. Hey, Republican or Democrat. It is a pain in the butt to run for office. County board, state house, Congress, you name it. Anybody who runs demands a certain amount of your respect. We have a candidate for the State House in our presence. Why don't you tell us who you are and what you're all about?